It is always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. We're in the off-season mode right now, so we've got a lot of things to talk about as far as the Browns are concerned, and a lot of waiting to do until they actually play another game. Daryl, let's go through some of the big headlines since the last time we went out. We were in a podcast. I'm trying to remember. Did we have the offensive coordinator change last time we talked?
I think so. I can't remember.
I think we did too.
The days just blend together for me. I don't remember.
I know they're all just days that end in day, right, Daryl?
Sources confirm, yes, that's exactly what they are.
All right, so let's move forward. It looks like the Browns have brought in a running backs coach. Is this true, or what do you think?
Yeah, Deuce Staley. He's been around. Former running back himself, 10-year veteran there, but he was let go from Carolina last season. Remember, he was a big hit on the Detroit Lions season of Hard Knocks.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Remember that? So on the surface, looks to be, a solid hire. But
why is he going to be better than Stump Mitchell?
I don't know. Different voice, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the other question, too, is like, why would the next offensive coordinator be better than Alex Van Pelt? What are they looking for in these guys?
Different voice.
That's really what it is? It's all about different voice?
Different voice. Someone that doesn't talk to the media as much.
But they still have to. They're required
to talk. Well, you know what I'm saying.
Controllable media or uncontrollable media.
Yeah, they would like them to stick to the controllable media. That's
yes.
What it's like. Yes, certain position coaches that may no longer be employed by the Cleveland Browns. Yes, that's.
It does seem interesting that that's a reason.
And that's all I'm going to say.
But who wants to lose their job over just giving information about? I mean, depending on what the information is, as long as it's not detrimental to the game plan. Go ahead.
It's ridiculous. Like there's no information that's worth anything that comes out of that building. Like that's the thing. Like it's a pretty tight ship. Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have cleaned up the circus. The Sunday morning hit pieces are long gone in a distant memory. You don't have a lot of, whatever gets out of that building is not coming from inside the building. It's usually coming from outside the building and things like that. So I just laugh at some of that kind of stuff.
I remember a story 2 or 3 regimes ago for a general manager that they literally celebrated and went out for beers because they found the mole.
Yeah.
Yeah. They found the mole.
Yeah. And, the gamesmanship of planting fake news to see where it it's the, they call it the blue dye test.
Okay.
Right? It's called, that's what it's called. It's the blue dye test where you share certain information with certain folks in the building, very limited in scope. So if it ends up in the media, who, disseminated the information. And again, I just kind of feel like that a lot of that's wasted energy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's top secret stuff, this NFL stuff. It's life and death and war and peace and, very military.
Yeah, I think it's just wasted energy. But when you're constantly having sourced hit pieces, though, right?
Right.
That's a different story.
A source within the Browns is telling me that they're going to wear orange, brown, and white next year. I got that from a good source.
Okay. Well,
my kids told me that.
That's all right. I remember I reported something about the uniforms and half the building got interrogated.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yes. Yeah.
What a waste of time.
I know it's a waste of time and energy, but hey, they run a tight ship out there when it comes to the flow of certain information. But yeah, I don't know how they're better today than they were at the end of the season with the coaching changes, but we'll see. All
right, let's talk about the Cleveland Sports Awards. Myles Garrett picking up big honor.
Yeah, he was the pro athlete of the year, beat out Josh Naylor and Donovan Mitchell. The Browns won the moment of the year for the playoff season, despite having half their star players on injured reserve. Myles also got another award on Wednesday. The Pro Football Writers voted him the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Lamar Jackson was voted the league MVP. And Christian McCaffrey was voted the Offensive Player of the Year. Unfortunately, our awards aren't recognized by the NFL. It's the Associated Press Awards that matter. And on Thursday, finalists for those, which will be announced February 8th in NFL Honors, I am taking an educated guess that the Browns will be well represented on the finalist list. But I'll say this, Miles has a legit shot at winning the award now because only once in the last decade have the PFWA award for Defensive Player of the Year and the AP NFL Honors Award differed.
Really? How many times did you say that they've been different?
One time in the last 10 years.
Wow.
So it's a pretty good indication that I think Myles Garrett not only is going to be a finalist for that award, but he's going to win it, in my view.
So the other one that you're talking about, when we talk about the AP awards, those are the ones that they announced at NFL Honors, right? Is that what that is?
And those are the ones that the bonuses and things like that. So that are tied to, right? So, if there's a Defensive Player of the Year clause in a contract, the PFWA does not count for that.
Yeah.
It is the NFL Honors Award, the AP award that's recognized by the league, and that fancy gold gold trophy with the little shield logo and all that. That's what those awards represent, the Associated Press Awards.
I'm trying to think of the awards that they have just off the top of my head. I just don't that they have at the NFL Honors. Obviously, Coach of the Year. They do Executive of the Year.
Assistant Coach of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year.
Comeback Player of the Year. That'd be interesting. That might be interesting.
Walter Payton, Man of the Year.
Jim Brown, Running Back of the Year, right?
That just goes to the rushing champion. So it's the Jim
it doesn't
Brown
matter.
Award. Yeah, the Jim Brown. Well, it does matter, but the Jim Brown Award goes to the rushing champion for the season.
So whoever has the most yards.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't.
So that's not a vote. And then the class of 2024 for the Hall of Fame will be unveiled. And they're doing NFL Honors. I think February 8th is a Thursday. Let me look at my calendar here. Yeah, it's the Thursday before the Super Bowl. So I don't know why they're doing it that way. Remember they used to do it on Saturday night before the Super Bowl,
right? Television. It's got to be television.
Yeah, it's got to be too. Yeah. So, and I forget who's hosting this year, but I don't anticipate there'll be any Browns jokes in the monologue this year.
No? Oh, that takes all the fun out of it. That doesn't give us a reason to talk about it in the morning then.
Well, and
other than the people that might win.
Yeah. The one thing that I used to enjoy about those shows is, the late Jim Brown would always attend.
Oh, yeah.
And so every time a Browns joke would get, because this is back in the days when the Browns were crap and they just they were an embarrassment to the sport of football.
Sure.
They would put the camera on Jim Brown and he'd just stare into the camera like he was ready to get up and rip someone's head off for making fun of the Browns.
He's intimidating, man. He was
death stare.
He was so intimidating.
He mean mugged the camera without saying a word. Jim Brown was pissed.
Yeah, Juwan Jones picked up an honor this week too, didn't he? He picked up a rookie.
He was the PFWA All Rookie Team at tackle. Myles Garrett was All NFL, as was Joel Bitonio. Or I should say, no, Joel Bitonio was All AFC, and Garrett was also All AFC for PFWA. So, because all of our awards are coming out this week. So, we're getting all of ours out of the way. So, league MVP and all that stuff was announced. We've got Coach of the Year, rookie. No, hang on. I got the email of the announcement schedule. I guess I should have looked all this up before the podcast. We've got there's still more. There's awards being announced Thursday as well as Friday. And again, these aren't officially recognized by the league. So Thursday, they're going to announce Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year, and Assistant Coach of the Year. And then Friday is comeback player of the year and most improved player of the year. So, and if you're wondering, yes, I cast ballots for all these. I took me like 4 hours because it's not only the individual awards, but it was all NFL. Then it was all AFC, all NFC, all rookie team. But
good for you.
On top of all the
how many just quickly, how many people out of Cleveland vote?
Every member of the Pro Football Writers.
Okay.
So a lot of people that cover the team. So I know myself, of the people that I know for a fact, myself, Mary Kay Cabot, Scott Petrak, Chris Easterling, just basically the regular people.
Jeff Shadell, those guys.
Yeah, like whoever pays their dues, because they check to make sure your dues are
Terry
paid.
Pluto, kind of probably. Terry in there or two?
I don't know. It depends if he pays his dues or not.
All right. Well, let's talk about paying our dues when we come back.
Got to pay.
You had a chance to, Daryl. You had a chance to catch up with some people at the Cleveland Sports Awards. We're going to talk about that when we come back. It's always game day in Cleveland. It is always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. Anything to say, my friend?
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
Sports betting been legal now for over a year, and BetQL's got some advice for you. They want to help you make the most informed bets possible. You can get all of today's best bets. Head to BetQL.com or download the BetQL app, which is a pretty good idea. And claim your free 3-day trial today. Head to BetQL.com/news/923thefan, where you can get all those exclusive sportsbook offers.
All right, you were at the Cleveland Sports Awards. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
That was a lot of fun. Andrew Berry accepted on behalf of Myles Garrett. Joel Bitonio, God love him, in a walking boot, accepted the moment of the year. He had a real bad high ankle sprain against Houston. Like one of those that like he probably would have, if it was a regular season, he probably would have missed 6 weeks.
Wow.
That's how bad it was. And they made him feel good for a few minutes there so he could come back and finish the game.
Is that in gummy bear flavor or is that just straight out?
Oh, no. That is Dr. Numalot. So
makes you feel good.
Yeah. So yeah, once that wears off though, you not feeling so good.
No.
So he's still in the walking boot. I mean, obviously he'll be fine once off-season program comes and all that kind of thing, but it just speaks to the severity of the injury and how tough he was to come back in the middle of that game and how much it meant for him to finish that game. But so it was good to see him. Obviously, all the fingers are crossed that Bill Callahan doesn't leave for the Tennessee Titans because
you think he's leaving? Well, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I like Jeff and I have debated this, and Jeff made a really good argument. Like, it's funny, and I'm not ripping our 2020 acres, but like every update, we were like, oh, Callahan's son got the job, and that could mean it. Like they speculated in every update, that could mean his dad's going with him. That could mean his dad's going with him. That means his dad could be going. I don't know. I mean, the part of you's got to say, I want to work with my son. But the other part of you, and Jeff, this is the point Jeff brought up. He's like,
he doesn't want cranky old dad around.
Yeah. I mean, do you want your dad hanging over your shoulder the whole time? Right. If I'm Bill Callahan, I'm staying in Cleveland, man. He's got a good, and he's so good at what he does. He's so well respected.
I will say this.
I think he's in a great place if he wants to stay here.
If he did leave, Andy, it'd be a big, big loss for the Browns. Like he means a lot. Andrew Berry, obviously understands how valuable Callahan is. Kevin Stefanski does as well. Bitonio praised him.
I heard him say that after the awards.
Yeah, when we visited with him at the Sports Awards. He means a lot. And he's a big reason why they've been able to plug and play so many guys in recent years. I mean, DeJuan Jones,
he really is.
DeJuan Jones is the case study of how good of an offensive line coach Bill Callahan is, okay? Because I am not exaggerating when I say during rookie minicamp, DeJuan Jones almost had to puke in a bucket in between reps. He struggled. And Callahan worked with him during the camp, worked with him all throughout the offseason program, and turned him into a legit starter. I mean, he got thrown in there when Jack Conklin got hurt and they didn't skip a beat. He was just absolutely fantastic. And I mean, that right there shows you. Now, granted, DeWan has the talent, but my point is that Callahan took a guy with raw talent that really, getting through that rookie minicamp was an uphill battle. And DeWan, at least from the writer's point of view, and listen, this is a national thing. Like, this is every NFL market with members of the Pro Football Writers vote on these teams and these awards. And DeWan was so good, even not
in 11 games, right?
Not even playing a full season, and he was good enough to make the all-rookie team at tackle. So that speaks to how good of a job that Bill Callahan did, and then also, too, how well DeWan Jones, got himself prepared to play at this level. So, yeah, I hope he doesn't leave. I mean, if I had to handicap it, I don't know. I mean, I would lean more toward he stays than goes, but there is the family aspect of it. I certainly understand why people are, having the conversation. And the reason why they're having the conversation, Andy, is because Bill's just so good at his job. That's why it even matters. Like, yes, position coaches matter. Absolutely 100%. But they're not the ones out in front every day having to deal with the media and answer the questions about why things are going well or not so well. You see what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
They're working in the background. They're doing the grunt work on a daily basis, and so they don't get the type of adulation publicly that some of them really do deserve. And I would say Callahan's one. I would argue he is, if he's not the best offensive line coach in football, he's definitely top two. Like, I don't know who would be better than him.
Right.
If someone were to throw in whatever, but I think he is the best offensive line coach in football, and that's why it's so important that he stays with the Browns. And that's
just talking about DeWan Jones for a second, though. How does he not start next season? It's because you've got Jack Conklin if he comes back, and then
because you're paying Jack Conklin. That's the only reason. Now,
is the other side open? That's the question.
I think the mistake they made was picking up that $14 million option on Jed Wills. Because I would have put DeWan over at left tackle. But the other thing too is there's no such thing as having too much depth, right?
This is the exact conversation Jeff and I had on the air, because if he's like, well, he's going to knock somebody out. And I'm like, well, here's the thing, what, too, Jeff, man, we watch all these guys get hurt all season.
Think about all those injuries that Jed has played through, all those injuries he's played through his first couple of years in the league, right? Like, every year the dude is banged up. And I'm not criticizing him. He can't help that he gets hurt. But the fact of the matter is he gets banged up, and it's tough on him. Well, guess what you have the luxury of doing now? Oh, Jed, you turned your ankle? Yeah, we don't need to make you play through it. And, you're getting false starts or holds or giving up sacks or whatever. DeWan's got you covered for a couple weeks to get healthy again. Like, now you have that luxury, right?
Right.
Or
I'm totally with you.
Something happens again to Jack Conklin, right? Well, guess what? You got DeWan Jones ready to step in there. So the blessing from this past season is that with all the injuries, they did play a lot of guys, especially on the offensive line, right? Mm-hmm. And they got guys reps. They got guys experience. And for the most part, the offensive line held up pretty well. Now, the AFC wildcard game was a little different story. The Houston Texan defensive ends, pretty good. And there wasn't a whole lot that the Browns were doing to slow those guys up, right?
Right.
In that game. So that's where it finally reared its ugly head, all the injuries up front. But yeah, you go into next year with 3 starting offensive tackles. I don't really see a problem there. You're paying 2 of them very well in Conklin and Wills, and a very capable starter. He's a middle round draft pick. You're paying a couple $100,000 to.
Right.
So I don't even think that there's much of a discussion to even be had about that at this point. Like, they got 3 guys for 2 spots. Perfect.
All right, let's do this, Daryl. We're going to come back in a moment, and we are going to discuss the playoffs and this B. We're talking about that next. It's always game day. It is always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. All right, before we get into the NFL playoffs, let's discuss this B. Can you see it? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just glad it's not. I'm glad it's not a Red Sox B.
No.
That's good.
Do you want to guess who it is?
It doesn't look like it's a Bruins B.
It is not a Bruins B. You're in the right area, though.
It is hockey related. I'm
sure.
Sure.
Have I already told you this then or no?
No. I'm
okay. You've probably seen it before, but you don't realize it.
Is it a Cleveland Barons?
It is not.
I thought I had it. I thought I had it. I thought
you're close though.
Close. It's not Blue Jackets.
Nope. It is in the North.
It is in the North. Ooh.
Tell me when you're ready. Does Meredith know? Yeah, Meredith, pop in if you think you know. If you don't pop in.
I don't think I'm drawing a blank. Well,
it is
be over before I figure it out.
That's fine. They are in the same division as the Monsters. They're in the North Division. They are the Belleville
it's the AHL.
Senators. It's an AHL. Oh. But I get more compliments and thought they're like, oh, is that the Browns logo? And the more I look at it, I want it to be the Browns logo.
No.
Why?
No.
It's the Ottawa Senators AHL team.
Why are you wearing gear from the Ottawa Senators organization? Why are you not wearing Lake Monsters gear?
Well, I don't have any Lake
Monsters gear.
If I had a Lake Erie Monsters jacket that was like this, I would wear it all the time.
I have to correct. They're now the Cleveland Monsters.
Sorry, Cleveland Monsters. Yeah, you're right. So it'd be a C.
And their new logos this year that they came up with this year are pretty sweet.
Yeah, they are.
Like NHL quality gear that the Monsters wear.
Oh, for sure. They were top notch stuff. The AHL does a nice job of that. No, they it's a buddy of mine who's a friend of mine. His dad's a scout for them. It was a big time coach in the NFL. Ding and ding. So I wear it all the time, but I can't tell you how many times people come up to me and say, and people are listening to the podcast are like, what are they talking about? If you're watching on YouTube, you definitely know what we're talking about. Okay. So, it's the Belleville Senators.
Yeah, logo. Andy's wearing a poofy jacket that has,
which I love. It's so comfortable, and it's not like all poofy. It's like sweatpants.
Yeah, it's poofy jacket season. Nothing wrong.
I love this jacket. I actually have a couple of these with different logos from different places.
It's hoodie season for me.
Yeah, I'm a hoodie guy too. I'm a 3/4 guy.
Yeah, I'm just wearing because my sister lives in Seattle, so I'm
oh, look at you representing Seattle. What's it say on the bottom? Seattle, Washington.
There we go. There it is.
Wow, look at you go. All right, let's get into the playoffs before we start boring people completely to death here. Here we go. We are into the conference championships. Let me ask you this question first. How far away are the Browns from being in a conference championship?
On paper, they're close. But as far as
they did beat 50% of the teams in the conference championship.
Yeah, as it stands right now, I don't think that next year you'll find the Browns in the conference championship just because there's just too many questions. And a lot of them surround the quarterback and how he's going to play. It's just too much of an unknown quantity for me to see them. Oh yeah, Browns are going to be they're right there next year. I don't know.
Are you going to sound like an 89-year-old woman when you do that?
Here's the other thing too. I go back to the 2020 season, right?
Right.
We're all ready to back up the Brinks truck and give Baker Mayfield $300 million. And 2 years later, he's gone and Deshaun's here. And the team did make the playoffs.
But they did back up that Brinks truck.
And Baker suffered a couple of injuries and stuff that wrecked a couple seasons. So, Deshaun Watson's had 2 seasons here and not done a whole lot. Let's be honest about it. We've been teased.
Although 4-1 this year, they were.
But I'm just saying, Joe Flacco had a better 5-game stretch than Deshaun Watson's had in 12 games with the Browns. So,
or any quarterback for that matter.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, any quarterback in Browns history, even going back to the days of Otto Graham. So I think that this team goes as far as Deshaun Watson carries them. Like he's the X factor. If he plays at an MVP level, like if he plays like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen minus the interceptions, and yeah, then I would say the Browns are close. The very real possibility a year from now that they're in the conference championship game. But I just have no inclination of what to expect from Deshaun Watson in the 2024 season. So until I know that, it's real hard for me to make any rah-rah prognostication that the Browns are close to making a Super Bowl for the first time ever.
All right, so Daryl, I was doing a little writing earlier this week, and I wrote down a sentence. There are 4 teams that haven't been to the Super Bowl. The
Could be
Jags,
free. Could
the
be down to
Jags, the
3 after
Texans,
Sunday.
the Browns, and the Lions. And then, I'm like, and I kept writing about the history and the history and the history. And then once I finished it, I was like, wait a second. Our history is 99. Our franchise did go on to win a Super Bowl in another city. And I'm sorry whether you want to believe that or not, but that is the truth. And so when I look at Detroit, they're kind of on an island unto their own. What? Because 95 is when Jacksonville came in the league.
Yeah.
And so I still, this was a reality weekend for me that, keeping the name and the images and everything erased in my mind the fact that we were an expansion team. And it was really the first time that hit me when I was writing that earlier this week, because we are going to see the graphic this weekend during the championships, especially when Detroit plays. When Detroit plays the Niners.
Has the longest conference title game drought in the NFL? The Browns. And the Browns had it even before the Lions got there. Browns had the longest conference title game drought dating back to 1989. Everyone else has at least been there one time since then. Like Jaguars been there. Panthers have made a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Texans came in the league in 2002, so they're kind of exempt from that. But here's the thing.
Then aren't we exempt from that too? Then if you're going to exempt them, you got to exempt the Browns.
So here's the thing. So like when you bring up the records and stuff, like the whole point was to fight to keep the records and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The team has sucked so bad since coming back, and I divide them. I do a lot.
I do too. I always say post 99, but like I have the reality.
Yeah. I do
of knowing that we're going to see this graphic, Daryl, and it's going to be a reminder that our franchise itself.
Post 1999. You want to know what the Browns' record is since 1999, Andy?
And no, I don't.
And this is with Kevin Stefanski being 37-10 as head coach. The Browns are 138, 264 and 1 in the regular season since 1999.
Killing me, Smells.
All of those, all of those records that they had built up, even before the franchise moved to Baltimore, like that outstanding win percentage that they have and all that.
Right.
Like that is the Browns are now a below 500 franchise.
Oh, I know.
Because of this expansion era and how bad it's been. The good news is that they finally have a head coach in Kevin Stefanski. Who has done what only Paul Brown has done, and that's win 11 games in a regular season multiple times. He's the winningest coach since Marty Schottenheimer. He's the first coach since Marty Schottenheimer to take him to the playoffs multiple times before getting fired. Like, I mean, it's like the Joe Flacco stat, right? The 16 yards and 13 touchdowns, best 5-game stretch by a Browns quarterback in their first 5 games in history, right? I mean, it's a great stat considering the franchise goes all the way back to 1946, but it also amplifies just how much this franchise has had really crappy quarterbacks.
It's like Kareem Garcia, who had one of the greatest halves in the history of Major League Baseball.
Outside of Otto Graham and Brian Sipe and Bernie Kosar, they've had crap at quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you.
And so, that's why I try and separate. The Browns used to have dominant records against the Steelers and the Bengals and all that stuff's been wiped out because they've been getting their ass kicked for 25 years by all their divisional opponents, right?
That'll do it.
It's a shame. But yeah, the graphics going to be there. By the way, the Cleveland Browns are the only team in the league that has had nothing to do with Super Bowl Sunday, ever. At least the Lions, the Jaguars, and Texans have all hosted a Super Bowl.
Oh, man.
Browns are the only franchise to have had nothing to do with Super Bowl Sunday. And it's one of the reasons I advocate for building the dome, because that might be the only chance Cleveland has to having something to do with a Super Bowl is if they have a dome for it to be played in.
That is a brutal stat. I never thought of that.
It's just been such an uphill climb. Now, again, they have, Myles Garrett is going to be the first defensive player of the year in franchise history. I think he'd be the first in franchise history to win that award. I know he's the first in team history to win the PFWA award, which went back to 1992. Brian Sipe won the MVP from the PFWA in 1980, and then he also won he did win the league MVP that year as well. But those are the only Browns Player of the Year / MVP honorees from the Pro Football Writers in franchise history. So, that can change. But yeah, I mean, Deshaun has to play like Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Like, I love what Lamar Jackson said on Wednesday when he was asked about, thoughts of having to go through Pat Mahomes. And he's like, well, to be a champion, you got to go through the champions. I thought that was a brilliant comment. Do you like it? No, I don't like it. He's really good. Like, no, I don't like going, but to do it, we have to do it, right?
All right, Daryl, we got about a minute here. Pick your winners. Ready? Lions, Niners, go.
I want the Lions, but I think San Francisco is going to win.
I concur. Kansas City, Baltimore.
I want the Chiefs, but I think Baltimore is going to win. And here is why I want a Lions and Chiefs Super Bowl. Are you ready for this?
Go for it.
Because I want Taylor Swift, Eminem, and Usher. Boom! There's your Super Bowl halftime show. Taylor Swift in one suite, Eminem in another suite, and there's Usher in the middle of the field doing the halftime show.
And Jason Kelce on stage dancing with no shirt on.
Well, there's that too. You got to give me your picks for what do you?
I'm there with you. I feel exactly the same way. I want the Lions to win. I want Kansas City to win. I just think having the week off still helps these guys. Baltimore could get even healthier going into this weekend. I just think Baltimore is the best team in the NFL. Baltimore will win the Super Bowl too, which is really kind of bothering. But I just think they're better than the Niners, and I just have visions of Baltimore playing against DTR and just how dominant they were in that game. But it'd be great is if the Niners and Baltimore do make the Super Bowl, they'll be talking about one thing, and it's how did Cleveland beat both of these teams. So I can live with that. So.
Well, here's the thing: the Ravens are now 2 victories away from having 3 times the Vince Lombardi trophies than the Cleveland Browns have playoff victories since 1999. There's your.
And with that depressing note, we thank Meredith Kane, our amazing producer. Thank you, Meredith. We'll be back again later this week with a second edition of It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. Thanks for listening. It is always game day in Cleveland.